279 all across the world on 3news.com. We are also in Tamale on Kesme 107.1 and on W93.5. My guest joining me in studio this morning for the conversation together with you watching us is Malik Basintale, who is a Deputy Communications Director of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. And for this conversation this morning, he is a member of the Manifesto Planning Committee of the NDC. Malik, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Great. Also, I have Yao Boabing Asamoah, who is a former Director of Communications of the NPP and a former Member of Parliament for the Adenta constituency, my constituency, of the NPP, on the ticket of the NPP. But now until 4 days ago, his membership has been cancelled by the NPP. I mean, to put it straight, he has been sacked. He has been sacked by the NPP. So he's a member of Movement for Change. Yao Boabing Asamoah, good morning. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Also joining us is Honorable Andiapi Akubi, who is a Member of Parliament for the Asante Achim North constituency. Also a member of the Subsidiary Legislative Committee of Parliament, and then also a member of the Trade and Industry Committee of Parliament. And he's a private legal practitioner as well. Honorable Andiapi Akubi, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, my brother.
I also have...
Thank you very much for inviting me. But
good.
Just a point of correction. Boabing Asamoah, Honorable, has not been sacked from the party.
He has not been sacked.
He has only just forfeited his membership of the party.
He's forfeited his membership.
Per our constitution.
Per your constitution. But he's not a member of the party. Let me say he's been sacked. It's just nomenclature anyway. But anyway, Professor Ransford Jampo, one and only, is a professor of political science at the University of Ghana, and then also has written extensively about governance, not only in this country, but across the continent and the world. Professor Ransford Jampo, it's good to have you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Great. And we would have Martin Pebu, who is private legal practitioner and the convener of the Kumi-Prekuri demonstration. He's going to be joining us via Zoom. There is a little issue that he's dealing with, so Martin will join us via Zoom. When he comes, I will acknowledge him. But this week, the two leading contenders, for the lack of better expression, have been on the road. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on the thank you tour, and also we have John Dramani Mahama on the Building Ghana tour. He's been in the Bono East and Ahafo regions, talking about a number of things, primarily hinged on the party's campaign going into 2024, running mate and a few other things as well, listening to the people and their problems. One of the issues that he talked about a number of times is this 24-hour economy. Okay, let me acknowledge the presence of Martin Pebu, who is joining us on Zoom now. Lawyer Martin Pebu, good morning, welcome.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Ocansey. Morning.
Great. Thank you for joining us.
Great.
Okay,
Sure.
so this 24-hour economy, what exactly does it entail? And in what form is it going to come? Is it going to be built on the existing night economy? Or it's going to be a different module on its own? What exactly are the sectors that this is going to also capture or include? These are the questions that people have been asking. And so I'll start off with you, Malik, on this 24-hour economy. It appears this is the first of many policies that you're going to be putting out there. So what exactly is the intent behind this 24-hour economy? the specific objectives that this is supposed to achieve? Malik.
Good morning to my colleague panelists here. Good morning to your viewers out there. I have been listening to so many expressions in the public domain. I have listened to many opinions. As a party, we've taken notice of all the concerns, the critiques, the criticisms, and all that have been done and are still being done in the public space. I listened to persons who are even against this particular policy, persons who have criticized it and stated that it isn't a good policy, and some even think that Ghana is not ready for a 24-hour economy. I've listened to others who have also supported it. I mean, our very own Dr. John Kwache, other renowned, people in this country have also supported that particular policy. But worrying is when I listened to our vice president and the flag bearer of the MPP, Alhaji Bawumia, in Tamale, contradicting himself in one speech he was given to his followers. In one breath, he said the policy wasn't a bright policy. He said the policy is a bad one. He said the policy, virtually to say that the policy isn't authentic. And then even just before he landed, he ended by saying that it is already in existence and cited chop bars, Akrantia bars, whatever, as existing 24-hour systems in this country again. One man who says it's not bright ends up by saying that some chop bars in this country are already doing 24 hours. So if it isn't bad, if it is bad and it isn't good, why do you have some companies doing 24-hour services in this country? And so I think that his entire campaign has virtually landed in confusion. And so instead of preaching his message to the Ghanaian people, he spends time trying to poo-poo the policy of his opponent. Listening to him, he spoke about credibility. And Alfred, I felt worried. I felt worried because Ghana is still in the hands of this particular man. And the economy of this country is going to be in his hands at least for the next 1.5 years. Which means that you and I can now clearly see that Dr. Bawumia does not understand the crisis we find ourselves in today. I used to think that President Akufo-Addo was the problem. And I used to think that he probably just appears insensitive and probably wicked, and that is why they've decided to plunge the Ghanaian people into this particular situation we find ourselves in. But I have come to understand that he's banked his hopes on a man who virtually knows nothing, a man who does not understand the economic corridors of this country, a man who goes about promising... What exactly do you mean by that? I would explain that. A man who goes about promising because probably promises are the only tax-free components in this country. And a man who does not even understand how to take us from this particular difficulty we find ourselves in. Alfred, you will agree with me that our problem in this country today has to do, 1, low productivity, 2, low economic growth, and 3, high unemployment rates. All other developing countries that have moved their economies from taxation to production, that have moved their economies from unemployment to a better employment status, have implemented this 24-hour policy system. And you can check from UK to Sydney to the USA and all other developed countries, including developing countries, have implemented this particular system. And so I'm surprised that you have a vice president who is supposed to know better. Look, this entire 24-hour system, even a class 2 people who aspires to read economics in future, will approve and attest to the fact that the game changer of our economic situation is this 24-hour system. Now, let me cite examples.
Okay, so I asked a specific question about the policy.
we live in a country, Alfred.
So you are citing developing economies,
Right.
and we know what happens in Australia
Right.
and so on. But in
Fantastic.
developing economies, which countries have practiced this 24-hour economy and succeeded?
Sydney
I mean,
has practiced it,
no,
and they have
Sydney.
succeeded.
I mean, Australia is
UK.
not a developing economy.
No, I'm citing other examples. UK is still in process of fully implementing. They just came out of implementing what we call a Sunday economy, and they are still in the process. But to this main subject, look, we live in a country, Alfred, that you go to the passport office at 3 a.m. and you find people there waiting for passport offices to open at 8 a.m. before they can start the processes for the day. What stops us from running a passport system for 24 hours? What stops the man who gets there at 3 a.m. to start the processes of implementing his passport system? We live in a country where President Mahama, under his regime, commenced the Meridian Port Services, MPS, at the harbour, which runs 24-hour system. In fact, they were in charge of managing the Terminal 2 at the harbour until such a time that their 24 work practices were uploaded, and so they were handed over Terminal 3 to run. Today, Gapoa, that shares boundary with them, that are in the same institution with them, does not still do 24-hour system. What stops us from copying all these systems that are already in place, making them effective in other premises of the
So
ports?
if I get the
And so
understanding, this is going to be built on already existing 24-hour system. You're going to enhance it. This is not a full-blown new policy in itself.
And you see,
do I get the understanding?
that's right.
Based on the references you just made.
That's right. My worry is that Dr. Baumia does not still understand that policies are naturally generated from viable, unformalized practices. And I cite an example: planting for food and jobs. Were the farmers in this country not already planting? Were people in this country planting stones? I cite an example of one district, one factory. Why? Didn't President Mahama build the factory at BP? Didn't President Mahama expand the factory at Cape Coast? And so, before a policy is formulated, most likely is that there's already a viable and formalized system that somebody thinks that if we formalize this practice and regulate it, an economy could grow. And that is what President Mahama seeks to bring into the economy. All President Mahama is saying is that, look, we have a backlog of human resource, people who are out there who can work for the country and yet are not getting jobs. We have a construction sector that today is growing at negative 1.1%. A manufacturing sector that is growing at negative 2.2%. And you think that the game changer is not a man who wants to create jobs and grow the economy of this country. Then there must be something fundamentally wrong with us.
There are a few boxes that I want to understand if we're ticking.
Right.
You're saying that you are building on the existing 24-hour system where people or some companies run a night shift and a day economy, the day 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. economy, or this is not necessarily a full-blown policy in itself. So you are already building on what is there.
First of all,
Cool. Let me just also get this.
right.
There's a large informal 24-hour economy as we have it in this country. The night economy, which functions in many places. There's La Paz, Circle, Oxford Street, and so on. Is it part of the policy to formalize this night economy? So I just want to understand what exactly, I just want that clarity or to be able to, or at least all of us get to understand what this 24-hour economy means.
First of all, there is no 24-hour system working in this country. There is not.
If you say there's no
We have
24-hour
our
system,
so allow me to explain that, Alfred. What we have, like you cited, is a night economy, which is totally different from a 24-hour system.
Great.
That's the first point to make. The second novelty is that, have you heard that any government has decided to grant tax exemptions to companies who wish to practice a 24-hour system in this country? Have you also heard that any government wishes to regulate the electricity usage by subsidizing it on a time of use basis in this country. And so, what is wrong? If a government says that any business which wishes to sign onto the 24-hour economy will have tax exemptions and have their electricity usage subsidized. Is this not a novelty? And so, there isn't any 24-hour economy running in this country. What we have are some institutions that practice a shift system. And an example is the police service. An example is the medical services, the nursing institution. What they do is a shift system where you come, you close, and then you go. But I am stating, and the NDC is saying that, there are lots of other institutions that can continuously practice what other institutions are doing in this country. An example I cited was the passport services, where we could have a 24-hour economy. Look, I don't know if you visited a passport institution in this country or not.
Yes.
You find people as early as 2 a.m. there, waiting to work. You go to Gapoa, and they come to work at 8 a.m. and close at 5 a.m. What stops them from working till the next day morning? And so, births and deaths, for example, comes at 5 a.m. There are people who come to the birth set office as early as 3 a.m. all because they want to do their birth sets. And a worker comes at 8 a.m. and that is when they need to start working. So, there's a lot of opportunities that this particular 24-hour economy is going to bring to the Ghanaian youth. And so, that is why I was surprised.
What would you say to those who would put up this question that we already have a lot of inefficiency or unproductive, personnel in the 8-hour work period? And so are you going to focus on improving the productivity within that already existing day economy of 8 to 5 before creating another working period beyond that 5 p.m. so that it wouldn't be just the focus of creating jobs, but also improving on the productivity of the people? Because you can agree that the conversation about the lack of the reduction in the productivity levels in the public sector is a conversation that's been going on. How to improve on productivity in the public sector. So aside from the focus of creating jobs, how is this going to also impact on improving productivity within that 8 to 5 p.m. so that people can even go at a certain time of the day and still have these services given to them when the levels of productivity improves?
Look, Alfred, there's a system called supervision, monitoring, and evaluation. Any institution that is producing, you would realize that in your evaluation. Once you evaluate the returns of that particular institution, it will reflect. If I plant 100 seedlings of corn and I harvest, corn from 100 plants, you would automatically declare that I have a bumper harvest. And you would automatically conclude that indeed there was monitoring, there was efficiency, and work was effective. And so, regulating or monitoring whatever system has already been in place is not an issue for you and I to even worry ourselves with. The concerns we need to worry ourselves with are that the country currently is undergrowing. Growth rates are declining. Productivity is declining. And yet unemployment is on the rise. What is the solution to this particular problem? And that is why we in the NDC will on any day state that the only game changer to the Ghanaian economy as of today is the 24-hour economy. And anything aside this particular system, we will continue to experience the mess that Dr. Bawumia, has plunged this nation to. We are determined that, look, in the coming days, the policy will be critically rolled out for many more people to understand. We will give figures, sectoral figures of how many people are going to be employed here. And mind you, the only sector that will not grow and will not expand again in this country is the ministerial sector. Because President Mahama has assured that the ministerial sector is going to be cut down to 60 ministers, and the entire economy of this country, the dividends, the payments that were being made to all these extra ministers would be converted to financial revenue towards paying all these youths of this country that will be employed in these services. And so, if you're a Ghanaian youth today, listening to me, Dr. Bawumia is telling you and I that a 24-hour economy where you could get employed at the passport office, where you could get employed at the birth certs office, is not feasible. And that's the only 24-hour economy that can run in this country probably is a chop bar. And that is where you must bank your hopes at.
Is there a policy document on this 24-hour economy?
Of course.
You've developed a policy
We've developed a comprehensive policy document, and that is what I'm unfolding on this platform. Okay. And all the things I'm stating.
The document includes all the things you're talking
No,
against Baumia. The propaganda. You said that's what
you're
you're
okay.
But so far, it's only propaganda.
Hold on.
Please.
All right.
Respectfully, Afro-Franco movement.
Yes.
You see, so in all of this, we will continue to unfold it. But you see, Alfred, we must also put the debate at an intellectual corridor. Let us advise Dr. Mahama, if there is anything new he has for the people of this country, on his campaign trail, he should focus himself on explaining to the Ghanaian people why he promised so much and yet has done little. Why he hasn't been able to solve our economic woes in this country. Why he went around the 5 northern regions, promised all paramount chiefs heaven on earth, and yet hasn't delivered a single one. These are the things we must ask our vice president and the flag bearer of the MPP to concern himself with. The repeated, mention of President Mahama's name in his campaign, we will not win him any points. The repeated, attack of President Mahama's policies, we will not win him any points because he's got a lot to explain to the Ghanaian people. And that is what he should concern himself with. This 24-hour policy seeks to move us from the economic mess, the economic quagmire, the economic disaster he, Alhaji Baumia, has plunged this nation into. And if there's nothing better he can do for us again, he should keep quiet and allow President Mahama run this particular policy when he assumes office.
Well, he's on a campaign. But I'll come back to you because I need to understand whether you've done any cost analysis to it, and then
That's
also
right. A very, very important discussion.
And because it's all on the ability to pay, right? And we already have a huge wage bill on our
That's right.
budget.
Very important.
And there's a freeze on public sector employment as part of this IMF program, which is going to be on until the next 3 years. And if you happen to even win 2024, you're still going to be within that program. So how do you intend to roll out all of this? That's a question that we'll need an answer to and a bit more clarity on this 24-hour economy. But there was someone, your candidate, in the midst of everything, is just talking about job creation and all. For the NDC, this 24-hour economy, and put it on record that it's something that's happening across the world. You cite certain examples where, for instance, in the United States, there's a vibrant 24-hour economy, like what's happening in New York, Las Vegas, Los Angeles. China has a very vibrant one. Australia, as I mentioned earlier. In fact, Kenya tried, but there's been hitches. The last time I checked, they've had a number of challenges with that, the implementation of that 24-hour economy structure. That doesn't mean that it cannot be done. But listening to what has been said today and what has been said over the period by the NDC, what's your take on this 24-hour economy and the possibility of it changing the fortunes of this country?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm calling Mr. Moderator because the question is so analytical and deep. It's virtually answered itself. Thank you, Mr. Ocansey. Now, let me begin by saying that it's a question of placement. You can have a slogan preceding actual reality, or you can have reality drive the slogan. So I haven't been too enlightened so far by the long thing here, because it wasn't about, you said he was a member of the manifesto committee, and you asked if there was a policy document. I didn't hear anything quoted from a policy document. All I heard was Dr. Baumia and Chobas and stuff like that. So the question really is, what are the sinews of a functional economy? And you lay it against what is ahead of us with the IMF and all that. You stated it very clearly. So for me, and for my candidate, indeed, his priority is to fight the debt. How do you fight the debt? Whilst you're fighting the debt, and beyond that, alongside that, you need to push investments into productivity, as you've clearly observed. And it's not just productivity of the public sector. It's not just about enhancing spaces in the public sector to manage a 24-hour economy. It's about actually also facilitating and investing in the private sector to produce in order to be administered and managed by a public sector. And then you have to enhance markets, infrastructure, market infrastructure, access to markets. And all of this is about capital mobilization. All the three things. To fight debt, you need capital. To enhance productivity, increase productivity, really sharpen productivity in this country in both sectors, public and private, you need capital. And to enhance access to markets, you need capital. So for Mr. Kyerematen, his biggest project now is the transformation of private sector capital, both local and international, into these areas. A clear, focused process of actually transitioning capital into productivity in Ghana, out of which the returns can help us fight our debt. We fight our debt in two ways. Once you begin to get focused and to move capital in the right direction, you stop borrowing. So you stop digging the hole you're already sitting in. Now we are borrowing to pay off borrowing. We are sitting in the deep hole which we keep digging. But if you are able to begin to transition capital, you stop borrowing. And the second impact is that you reduce the debt that's already sitting there, because you are able to constructively engage the debt. So for Mr. Kyerematen, his biggest priority at the moment is how to persuade the private sector, and there's a full plan to do that, and get the private sector to realign and recommit its resources from a kind of economy we have at present into a local economy, strategic economy that we can grow here, that is strategic. Okay. And in growing that economy, in the public sector as well as the private sector, you create the jobs and the incomes that our people need. You provide, you have resources to push into the public utilities, the public social infrastructure that people need to enhance their lives. So yes, choose to call it whatever. In a cycle where you have a capitalist, you have a catalyst of capital driving economic growth, and relevant sectors in that case will begin to work to cope with market demand. In the public sector, if people need to have passports at 2 a.m. because they have to travel at 3 a.m., then it means it's relevant and you deliver that market. You don't deliver the market because you have passed legislation. So it depends. It's a function of economic growth. The more you grow, the more likely relevant sectors will grow to cope with the demand. So that's structural. That's part of enhancing the market. It's structural. You provide the infrastructure to enable markets, to enable productivity. In that process, if some people have to work 24 hours, why not? I don't think a slogan can bring it into being. I don't think legislation can bring it into being. And the worst thing you can even focus on is tax exemptions. There's no guarantee. Tax exemptions are not novel. In fact, tax exemptions have been killing our economy for years. There's a bill in Parliament now struggling over whether or not to continue these exemptions in a legislated way. There is no guarantee that a tax-exempted institution, individual, organization will invest the resources in further production or growth. They may even lose it because there's less productivity. You may be losing twice because the exemptions will disappear in losses due to low productivity and ill orientation of the service to which you are granting the exemption. It reduces government revenues, literally sometimes at the detriment of the collective public, for nothing, for the benefit of people who don't even appreciate what you are giving them. I insist that tax exemptions are not the way to go. Tax exemptions are not a guarantee for investment and further growth. Tax exemptions can be abused. People can turn the exemptions received into other unproductive ventures. which will not enhance the overall purpose and intent of the exemptions. So economic growth is organic.
Right.
And it's convenient politically to sloganize it. So as for me, I don't have a problem with sloganizing it. But the people who are going to vote know that they've had enough slogans. You remember the NHI's, so they said the one-time premium. It was a very beautiful slogan. It rolls off the tongue easily. One-time premium. What happened? As soon as they got into power, they forgot how sweet the slogan sounded. So you can sloganize to get into power. But in reality, the people on the ground know that it's not feasible if you just sloganize it. You must establish the purpose. And the purpose is capital into fighting debt, into enhancing productivity, and into developing markets that are structured to meet our needs.
So that's going to be the approach, evaluating the specific sectors that would need this.
No,
this
it's not
kind
about
of
evaluating sectors.
Investment or productivity.
I'm saying that the biggest driver we need for our economy is capital.
Yes.
But the difficulty with capital now in Ghana is access, because we are fighting for foreign direct capital. Is it enough? Does it come in ways that grow our economy in tailored ways, in paths that we have set ourselves? Locally, do we have any capital at all? Is it focused? Is it disaggregated? So what we need, if foreign direct voluntary direct investment, what do you call it? Foreign direct investment is slow and disaggregated, and local capital is even worse, because one can't even determine what's capital and what's not locally, then you need a carefully targeted and tailored program to consolidate and transition capital into paths that will help you fight your problems. That's what I'm talking about. You understand?
Yes.
You need to bring capital together. You need to bring indigenous capital together with the kind of incentives that the private sector people will believe elevates them and protects their money. You understand? Like nationalist, how did you call the mining contracts, Prof? The mining contracts which protect the companies from expropriation.
Natural resource contracts.
Natural resource contracts, where they have substantive clauses.
This is a very big area.
So they have substantive clauses where their investments are protected against nationalization.
So
Stability clauses is what I'm looking for. Stability clauses. So you need a process where you establish stability, a framework for stability for private capital, foreign and local. And with the comfort of that stability, you're able to consolidate the capital and drive it into the specific areas which will provide growth. And in our system now, one of the biggest drawbacks to growth is the debt mountain that we have. Because of that debt, our economy has gone into deep freeze. We are giving haircuts, we are defaulting on our international refund obligations, our reputation is not being enhanced in any way, and therefore it's a detriment to growth, because it won't attract capital, and it will even disaggregate the local capital further. Because if you're going to get a haircut in the bank, why do you put your money in the bank? Why do you let anybody even know you are rich?
True.
You understand? So the process as at now, the debt is driving the economy in a direction where capital is rather fleeing. Because everybody wants to protect. Nobody wants anybody to see where their money is. Because if they see the money, they may take it from you.
Okay.
So you need a stability framework. That's
Right.
the first thing you need. The debt is the biggest situation we have. So you need a stability framework. That stability framework is what will persuade the holders of capital to bring it back in, for you to help them to use it for purposes that will reset and restart the economy. You understand?
Yeah, so improving the confidence in the economy to, as it were, halt the capital flight, and then also bring back the needed investment, the capital to create jobs is what is going to be your focus.
More or less.
Okay.
More or less.
All right. And Don Wandi Apiakubi, on to you now. The specific response by Dr. Bawumia is what has been that focus of criticism, that there was no alternative policy proposed to this 24-hour economy, only just likening it to how a chop bar operates. What exactly is the alternative that you're proposing to this?
Thank you very much. Let me take the opportunity to greet my good people in Asante Achimno. I'm sure most of them are observing.
Because I'm an
Pardon me?
I didn't greet you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's all right. Yes,
Yes,
it's fine.
has been submerged.
Let's go today. I'm ready. Go. First and foremost, Prof is here. I think one thing we have to also put our minds to is how to develop human resource to come into politics. Politics is becoming too cheap. Everybody jumps from academic platform, graduate from school, the next moment he's a politician, he wants to show us what to do. Sometimes it is good to take your time and mature into positions. And this is what is hurting us. Listening this morning, you will see a difference in presentation, different appreciation of...
Okay.
No, let me go. It's important that we don't over-politicize the environment. And again, it's important that we understand the issues as we explain them. When we put politics ahead of even policy design, we don't achieve the object. And the question you asked was on 24-hour economy. And I will stay right within it and not set questions for myself and answer and talking about people who, when we are supposed to be talking about policy. The 24-hour economy is not an innovation. For me,
it's not an innovation.
It is not an innovation at all.
What
It
do you
is
mean?
that which comes upon preparation and readiness. For us to be able to have an economy that operates beyond the normal 8, the need must be generated from industry. We need to create the space. How do we create the space? If investments come into productive areas and the platform is there, government's contribution is only to provide the enabling environment. Government doesn't invest in enterprise. So let government provide the basics, the roads, the utilities, and make them efficient. And then let government also advertise the readiness of the economy to accept inflows of investment. And let government also be selective in pushing for the investment that will turn the economies round. When we have done that and we have the necessary capital, and as my colleague was saying, we have the necessary capital, then we can also prioritize and see which areas do we have to direct these capitals. Honorable was talking about investment protection. Mm-hmm. We are already part of MIGA, Multilateral Investment Protection Agency. Our constitution also guarantees that expropriation and nationalization of investments. So that one is guaranteed. And I'm not sure since the Fourth Republic, any government has made attempt.
Andy, that is not a serviceable process. MIGA and all this.
No.
The kind of thing Alan is thinking is way beyond MIGA.
Look, that is Alan's thinking. But
yes,
I'm telling
I
you.
was delivering Alan's thinking.
Listen,
right.
And I did not challenge Alan's thinking.
All right.
What I'm saying is that the protocols are already there. And from the Fourth Republic, the beginning of it, no government, NDC, MPP, none of them has ever tried to take away people's investments or to nationalize companies and things. So the protocols are already there. And I've been an investment promoter whilst I was at Free Zones. And this was one of our selling points. So it is there, not that we are going to create. No government since the Fourth Republic has made even attempt to nationalize private companies. And I don't think that any government has the guts to do that.
Is that your understanding as part of this 24-hour economy?
No. Yes. That's my understanding. No government, and indeed the 24-hour economy, you can only control the public sector. You cannot control the private sector. You only have to attract investment into the private sector by creating the necessary platforms. And somebody says that let us also manage the public sector 24 hours. Is it just opening the office throughout the year, throughout the day and the night that is managing the... You see, Martin is here and he's now on Zoom. And Martin is going to contribute to it. Mm-hmm. This is an innovation to get people into discussions, not bringing all of them at one location. We could create a 24-hour public sector when we have the necessary technology to make people access the service even late night. Not necessarily somebody drive from Tamale to come to passport office midnight. No. If you're in Tamale, you want to access, go to the platform, provide your information so that somebody who comes the next morning already has your information, not necessarily traveling from Tamale to here. So that is the platform that we need to facilitate that. But generally, the 24-hour economy will be created if, let's say, Cargill, a company processing cocoa, has invested and expanded his investment such that Cargill needs people to work to meet certain targets. Then if the targets are big, they cannot deliver within 8 hours. It's only natural that Cargill will create new platforms and say that, well, because I need to meet these deadlines. So
there's been expansion.
Yes,
and
I need to meet
growth.
these deadlines. My productive capacity cannot meet that. So let me work also in the night, get more people to work in the night so that I can meet the target for the day. So what is necessary, as Honorable said, create the market, create access to the market. And if the market is telling you, the producer, that I need 1 million tons, and you are only producing 200 tons, it is only natural that you will look for the investment to expand your productive base so that you can meet your target. So it is something that happens when a need is created, when market is there, when productive capacity is required. Then you will go the extra mile. It is not a propaganda tool to come out and say, I will do it when you have not done the basics. We could talk about creating the market for 24 hours. But if the companies are still folding up, how are you going to create a 24-hour market? So let's go to basics. How do we attract investment into productive areas? Do that and get investments into productive areas. And the productivity itself will direct you as to how long you stay in production. So the expectations of market, your productive capacity, and the resource allocation, the resource availability will direct the kind of economy that you need to inherit and grow. So it is good. I'm not going to criticize it. At least it's a pointer that we can expand our productive base. In fact, what I understand President Mahama to be saying is that let Ghana expand the productivity base.
Right.
And this is what I understand him to do. And how do we do it? Let all of us come together. Let us not dismiss it. It is, at least for nothing at all, it's a proposition.
Right.
Let's develop it. No proposition is perfect.
True.
But somebody brings an idea. Let's adopt it, develop it further, re-engineer it into maybe an optimal concept to use. So I'm saying that it is not necessary as a people. Apiakubi says something, is it because it's Apiakubi? Throw it away. Jampo says something, Jampo, throw it away. However foolish somebody thinks a concept is, it is worth interrogating further. True. And improving upon it for our collective benefit. True. Because Jesus Christ, if he comes, he's not coming to give us development principles. He comes at all, he's coming to take us to wherever the scripture says we'll be going. So it will be too late when he comes. So now, so now, now the propositions that we ourselves are putting together, let us contribute to shaping the policy into a beneficial program so that all of us will benefit. So I don't agree when we want to criticize, I don't agree. If there are shortfalls, let's provide the suggestions to make it work. And I'm saying that not only saying it will make sure that we don't do it, but we have to practically look at how do we make it work, and provide the ingredients that will give us the advantage as being espoused. But if we are going to throw away every program, every suggestion, then we end up not having anything. But again, at the end of the day, me personally, I'm listening to all of them. everybody. And indeed, Mr. Boabe, Honorable, has given us the perspective of Mr. Alan Kyerematen, except that I want Alan Kyerematen to come back home.
You want him to come back to the MPP?
Have you started that one?
No.
The question he will ask you will panic.
Listen. I'm only saying that I have never supported division of any kind. I have always been the person who want to bring everybody back home. So wherever I meet, I will tell him that this is where you belong. You see, the people who break away from churches to form new churches, I don't agree with them. Okay. If you need it to improve where you are, improve upon it and let it work for all of us.
Let's refocus.
Coming back, coming back
and
to,
round up for me.
Coming back to the 24-hour economy.
Okay.
I think it is worth discussing by going down to find the pillars that will support the policy and the strategy to achieve maximum benefit from the policy, and let it not only be the one we think will bring us out of economic distress, that one and others. So let's listen to more people as they bring out new ideas, and let's reconcile all of that and see whether an aggregation of those ideas and proper implementation strategies will get us the benefits that we require. It is important that we agree to disagree, we accept everybody's opinion, and process it into usable concepts.
In fact, that's the exact reason why we're having this conversation this morning, so that there's clarity. And he's a member of the manifesto committee. That's why he's here this morning. All the clarity and all the questions that we're asking to be able to get the answers, as a matter of fact.
Yes.
So, I'll come back to you, because I need to move. Professor Jampo, one of the
last sentence, but
I'll take it from your next round. You will take that one minute.
To close this, Alfred. But the best that we have to do is let government provide us with the hope.
The hope.
To attract the investment that we so require.
Okay. Well, thank you. Professor Jampo, so, if you look at public policy approach, and this is where I take you because of the kind of work that you have done. One of the basic definitions of policy by Thomas Dyer is about an action by government you commit resources to, aimed at achieving a particular objective. It could be solving a problem, or enhancing or improving an existing system, or putting a new structure in place in itself. Now, listening to the conversation cycle about this policy of a 24-hour economy, and taking into consideration what we have in this country, and I kept making reference to the night economy because we wanted that distinction between that and the proposed 24-hour economy, because there's an existing night economy. In the UK, it's valued about over £26 billion. That night economy alone, the contribution to the GDP of the UK. But then again, I get the understanding from Malik that it's a very different concept on its own. Does this bring the clarity to this and the specific objectives that it's supposed to achieve?
Well, first of all, I want to thank and congratulate my senior, Andy Abiakubi. Today he spoke in Ghana.
I'm always Ghanaian.
He spoke in Ghana, and I like it.
I'm always a Ghanaian.
You see, too typical of us, we always want to further a policy before the policy begins to fly. And it is not good. If somebody sat down to put out a program, a policy that he intends implementing, I think the best thing that we have to do is to interrogate and make suggestions as to how it can be strengthened.
Sure.
And I am happy that today, this is what Andy Abiakubi has done. This is what Yabuabeng Asamoah has done. But I think the vice president didn't do that. Okay, he only rubbished it. And that was something that broke my heart. Okay, he should have either gone silent about it, articulate his own policy, or look at it in a way that would be seen as an objective review of the thing. But the panel here has done a very good job. And essentially what has been done is to interrogate it and to see how best it can be strengthened, how best, if it has to be implemented, the kinds of pillars that would have to be there to undergird its effectiveness. And I think I am very happy about it. The clarity Malik brought to bear on the, in response to your initial questions, I think it's also quite straightforward. The difference between a night market and then also a night economy and a 24-hour economy. And the idea that it is already in existence, I think I like the bit about the fact that a policy is also, in a policy-making process, you also hinge some of your factors on things that are already in existence but that have not been formalized, okay? And so for me, it's not a big deal. If this is meant for Ghana, it is meant to build Ghana. Let us interrogate it and see how best we can strengthen it. But then again, given what is going on in Ghana, the current challenges we have in Ghana, it doesn't suggest to me that the originators of these ideas or this idea are dumb. I think they know what they are talking about. They've not rolled out everything about it. And of course, if you go about talking about some of these, you cannot talk A to Z about it. I don't think that they are dumb. And I don't think that they don't know what they are talking about. And I don't think that they are also not listening to the kinds of conversation that we are having. And so let us rather suggest more. Let us admit or agree that, well, this thing can help. But we also think that if you do X, Y, Z, it will also help. So on that score, I am saying to President Mahama, it's a good policy if properly interrogated and if strengthened and if it is backed with the needed political will and funding, and if it's also predicated on the idea that the existing 8-hour system will also have to be strengthened so that we can build on it, I think it will be good. But let me say that there are other things, as my other colleagues have said. One other important thing that would have to be done to also ensure that we extricate ourselves from the quagmires of poverty and underdevelopment, that I'm also suggesting and proposing to President Mahama, is for him to rethink the amount of money we get from our natural resources. We pump oil and then we are getting less than 15%. we have been manufacturers of gold. They mine gold from us, and we are getting less than 5%. And in my hometown, Sopong, they said they found lithium, and they are going to give 1% to the community. I called the MMDC, and MMDC was supporting it. I said, MMDC, what do you mean? What is wrong with your head? So the point is, I'm telling him, dear MMDC Infantiman, I'm going to mobilize the people to be against you. I'm told that, listen, I'm told, the last time he spoke to me, he said, oh, the 1% is only coming to the community, but it is going to be 12% and 12% to the government. And you should be happy because after it's been moved from 5%, that's good. It's been moved from 5% to 3%, and it's going to be 12%, and you should be happy. And I said, you see, we are so damp. Muammar Gaddafi was taking 70% of the proceeds of the exploration of his oil. He says the oil belongs to me. I mean, you are in your bedroom, and I get there, I dig your bedroom, and I find gold, and I'm taking 80-something%, your own bedroom. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So, President Mahama, if we will succeed in renegotiating some of the proceeds that we get from our natural resources. Other African countries are doing 40-60. Others are doing 70-30. Others are doing 50-50. Let us go beyond the personal gains that these explorers would give to us and think nationalistic. So, Mr. Mahama, I'm pleading with you, if you could add the renegotiation of the deals.
Mr. Mahama, suggest to the whole country.
Well, I'm suggesting to President Mahama, I'm suggesting to all the aspirants.
No. There's no limit to Mahama.
Well, he said I shouldn't limit it to President Mahama. But so I am saying that if we can, as a nation,
It's a national fight.
renegotiate some of these deals,
All of them.
and get more from oil, get more from gold, get more. As for the lithium, lithium is everything. And they are telling us that they are going to give us 1%. For the community. But it is what but damn politics. I keep saying that politics that is devoid of sense of thinking is politics of madmen. Okay, politics devoid of thinking is politics. Let me
on this particular matter. If you listen to a chief executive of the Minerals Commission, he is saying that we are suffering these terms because we don't mobilize local capital to go in there.
I understand perfectly.
So take account of that when you are talking about.
I gave that example. Yes, we do not. But how have others also done it?
Yes. So that's
we can still get more.
Others didn't have the resources. I know exploring for some of these things is capitally intensive. That if you don't take care, a whole nation may not be able to commit its resources into that.
But we can still get more.
But we should still get more.
Yes.
Like I said, I mean, my bed, we are here, Alfred.
The
we are
lithium
here.
contract is an improvement of the previous colonial contracts.
Well,
but we can still get more.
It is, yes. And so that's why I'm saying that. I told him, with the greatest of respect, MC, that it was a celebration. When you're talking like a pride. Today you spoke in Ghana.
So it was just, you see, I think the intent of your concern is established.
Him that he's celebrating mediocrity. So upon Infantiman, we are people, we are not going to accept that 1%.
Okay.
We are coming down there to mobilize the people, and we will, if it is possible that we lie on the floor and roll, we will do it. And we should be more serious as a people. So I suggest this to President Mahama and then the other aspirants, that beyond what they are going to say, beyond all these things, I mean, this is a cash cow for the nation. We should think about renegotiating some of the proceeds we get from natural resource exploration, so that we can also develop. But again, let me give this advice publicly again to Dr. Bawumia. I wrote to him publicly, but let me say, re-echo some of the things that I said. Again, you see, there is a serious trust deficit in the system. There are so many things that he himself, when he had the political platform, said he was going to be doing for Ghana and Ghanaians, that, I mean, he's not been able to do them. Now we are told that he was only a vice president. Yeah, it's true. But when he had his lecture series, the kinds of things that he said, we'll do this. And remember, President Akufo-Addo himself has said that we brought him on board to fix the economy. Okay. But clearly, there are so many challenges to the point that even people within his own party are still complaining. So there is a lot of trust deficit that I believe he must focus on rebuilding. Okay, and the way to go is not to rather attack and popularize the policy prescriptions of your opponent. Remember, the free SHS gained much popularity because of the attack of the NDC to it. The more you attacked it, the more it gained popularity. So we've spoken about this, but because of the comments of Vice President Bawumia, now it's still trending and all that. And then the other bit is for him to also appreciate the fact that as he goes about the campaign, you see, one of the things to do to rebuild or to deal with the trust deficit is for him to be himself. Okay? He's a Muslim, so what? Ghanaians will decide, not based on region or religion. Okay. So over-fraternization with Christian engagement, in my view, deepens the trust deficit, because we know, I'm a Christian. If he decides to be a Christian, I'll be happy. But we know that there's no way he will be a Christian.
Okay.
And so he should tone down on the over fraternization or, with the Christian engagement. Otherwise, these overtures are seen as unnecessary vote-getting mechanisms that deepens the trust deficit that he suffers. But on the whole, I want to argue again that the 24-hour economy thing is something that will be good for our country. Let us interrogate it further. Let the initiators or proposers of this idea listen to the suggestions that are being proffered, and let us not continue on that tangent of always defeathering a policy before it begins to fly.
Thank you, Professor Jampo. I'm getting some feedback about the volume on your television. It's been worked on, so I'm sure that will be rectified in a bit. So apologies for that low volume, but it's been worked on now by the technical team. I'll bring in Lawyer Martin Pebu on this. You see, lawyer, for the judiciary, and I zoom in there because that is your area of expertise and where you have worked in the legal system. Your colleague and Vice President of Imani, that's Kofi Bento, a colleague lawyer, has indicated that if the 24-hour economy has to start, maybe the judiciary is one of the sectors to start with because it's feasible. It can work there. How would the 24-hour economy, in the context in which Malik has just explained, or the answers he's given to my questions, work in your sector, the judiciary?
Okay, right. So for us, actually, you could say the judiciary also has tidbits of the 24-hour economy, all right? Tidbits of it, in the context that the Supreme Court, in a case I did some years ago, that was a valedictory judgment of Justice Sofa Ekufu in 2019. That was 48 hours is 48 hours. You see how the Supreme Court held that if the police or any other security agency, for that matter, arrests a suspect, they must bring that suspect to court within 48 hours, right? Yes, so meaning that for the judiciary, 48 hours is 48 hours. Don't take out weekends and public holidays and say, oh, we don't work on those days, right? Yes, and so the Chief Justice, Eni Yebua, when he took over from Justice Sofa Ekufu, issued a directive that courts should sit on Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays to be able to what? Dispense justice to accused persons or suspects who were taken in within 48 hours. That is the 24-hour economy. Yes, admittedly, there have been challenges in implementing it. Some places, you have to go through a lot of bureaucracy before you get a court to sit on a Saturday or a Sunday or a public holiday. A lot of the time, even the police themselves don't even know how to activate it. That's how to go through the registrar to be able to get a court to sit on Saturday or Sunday or a public holiday. So I see this 24-hour economy initiative, when the policy is fully, advertised to us, I hope to see how they would support the judiciary to go about it, because it was just a directive from the Chief Justice and implementation has been a problem. So the judiciary itself would benefit from more sensitization and more facilities, especially, when you're asking the courts to work 24/7, one of the key things you should be looking at is how to pay them during that period. Because for some of the time that we went to sit, the court sat on Saturdays, Sundays, and public holidays, some of the comments I heard was, hey, this Saturday sitting, this Sunday sitting, this public day sitting, by the time we'll be paid, it will be 6 months down the line. So meaning a person comes to work today, but because you haven't put in enough facilities, enough logistics to pay him well, and timeously, he gets paid 6 months down the line. Very few people will join this productivity revolution, as Nimoy Thompson puts it. Dr. Nimoy Thompson calls it the bigger plan of productivity revolution. Nimoy Thompson says this is part of the 40-year development plan the previous administration drew up. You remember when they were in office, they set up the National Development Planning Commission and that took a 40-year development plan. So I read a piece by Dr. Nimoy Thompson, economist, who referred to that plan, that 40-year development plan, as having segments on the 24-hour economy, right? So this is a productivity revolution. That is the takeaway. Yes, I may not support John Mahama, but when the idea is good, why not? We have to support it because, like all the panelists have said across the table, yes. And of course, you hear what Dr. Yao Ban, Secretary General of the TUC, said. He said it's a game changer. As soon as he said it's a game changer, it appears that is what is causing palpitation of hearts, okay, and Baumia reacting the way he did. Yes, Yao Ban is an economist as well. When he heard it, he knew that, yes, this is what we've been waiting for. It's a game changer. You see, we all have to be objective, like how the panelists have been. Yes, I don't support Mahama. I'm supporting a third force. I keep calling on the Christian Council, the Chief Imam, and the CSOs and the TUC to come up with a candidate, a new candidate to rival Mahama. But if Mahama brings an idea which is brilliant and will move Ghana forward, why not? We need to support it. That doesn't mean that we are necessarily voting for him. Okay, of course, he may get votes through that. So let's go for it. So the judiciary will need it. Will need it seriously. The 24-hour economy will be good. Number two, let's mention, you remember last week I gave you the example of Singapore. And I like Singapore because we even started off the blocks ahead of them. At independence, we're ahead of them, GDP, etc. Right? Now, right, they have been able to do it. I mentioned the example where the courts sit in the evening. So that's a 24-hour economy. So workers who have cases and cannot attend during working hours attend their court sessions with their lawyers in the evening.
Yes, but you also made reference to the fact that even with the existing structure that the Chief Justice is encouraging, weekend court sittings and holiday court sittings, it has its challenges already, even with just the weekend and holiday courts. So how do we then also focus on improving the challenges with already existing structure of weekend and holiday court? Maybe before talking about an increase in the hours for the courts as well.
Great. There is the common saying that you can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? A certain lawyer's favorite saying. You can walk and chewing gum at the same time. We can't afford to do just a few things at a time. In this particular context, I think improving the structures for the weekend courts and implementing a full throttle 24-hour economy can be done at the same time because there are, they complement each other. Yes, they complement each other. They are in the same area of trying to increase what? Efficiency. That's the whole idea. So inside the 24-hour economy, there's a theory. I see efficiency. It's like when we go to sleep, so a factory has the machines. So what I see is that when we go to sleep, for as long as we are asleep, the machines are not producing, right? So we are not getting as much as we should. So when we implement the 24-hour economy, these same machines will produce what? In 3 shifts. And so that will be more production, right? Yes. So opening the courts for weekends and public holidays is more productivity. So now, when you are going to do 24/7 court sittings, it's also more productivity. So the resources you're using to improve the system for weekend courts and public holiday courts are the same resources, or they are in the same area that you use to get 24-hour economy.
Okay, so that was the question. So that I just wanted to understand what measures, the resources you're talking about, that have to be in place for an efficient weekend and holiday court sitting. As you have indicated, being someone in the sector, the judiciary, even this weekend and holiday courts is facing challenges. Something has to be done about it. So what are the resources and the structures that have to be put in place to address the challenges with the existing weekend holiday court proposal, so that it would also now create that enabling environment for a 24-hour court system?
Mr. Ocansey, from where I sit, it's not much resources at all compared to the benefits that we get if we fully implement the weekend court. This is why it is. For the court to sit, you need a judge, you need a court clerk. Of course, now when we say court clerk, there are different grades. So there are about 4 or 5 staff, right? Then you need a policeman, what we call the court warrant officer, or you simply hear CWO, right? So in all, you are looking about 8, 9 officers. And of course, we'll count the security and then the other persons. Yes, so the security people that will protect the court outside, because there's a court warrant officer. He is for the court solely, but you know, outside the court there are other security persons who are not necessarily police, who direct parking spaces, all that. So you see that we've shown that when it comes to the judiciary, that is it. It's not rocket science. In terms of the formal core people to get the work done, for each court, you are looking at not more than 12 people. Of course, you count the chief administrator, the registrar. So in all, just about 12 persons, including the judge, to make the court sit. So that's why it's beating my mind that since the Chief Justice gave the directive that the court should sit, we've been finding it difficult to implement. And you know, as we sit here and talk today, already the courts have been sitting on Saturdays especially to deal with SNIT and electricity cases. That's for employers who don't pay SNIT. Yeah, so those cases are dealt with on Saturdays. And also electricity, those who steal electricity. Like the way Kennedy Japan says, the MPP are stealing money and stashing away abroad like there's no tomorrow, right? So those ones are dealt with. Mr. Ocansey, just one more comment on it. You know, the way Kennedy Japan is saved us, hitherto, when we said this government was stealing, you said there's no evidence. But Kennedy Japan is with them, and today he has liberated us. He's told us he's with them. He's told us he is stealing money and stashing abroad. There's no tomorrow.
So, I just wanted a roundup of how this is going to impact on, but I got lost with your references to other things. So I'm not going to dwell on that. Let's move on.
Mr. Ocansey, you heard me loud and clear. Kennedy Japan says Akufo-Addo and his government, they are stealing our money and stashing away. I was asking
the specific. So I just wanted you to round up on. I just wanted you to round up on. Yes. I get that you made that point. You made that point. I just wanted you to round up on the specific case of the resources.
We've already shown that for each court, you are looking at about 12 core staff, and then when you add the security, maybe depending on the numbers. So all in all, you are not going to get more than 20 people. And so when we roll out this, then depending on the number of cases that even come for the bail applications as held by the Supreme Court in 2019, as per Chief Justice Sophia Ekufu, the valedictory judgment, then we see how to scale up for the other parts or the other side of the 24-hour economy. That is, usually the court closes at 4 p.m. So at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m., 9 p.m.
Right.
So then we see how the court sits. So it's not much. It's not much. And once we do, Mr. Ocansey, let's add this. The benefits are more. So let's say, Mr. Ocansey, touch wood. It could happen to any of us. A lawyer once ran over a pedestrian. and the lawyer was kept in custody for more than 48 hours. You think if this lawyer had gotten the chance to appear before a judge and gotten bail, you don't think that once he was out, he could go and continue his work, and that could be more productivity. Right. I've seen other very important people in society, people, professionals, being kept in custody for more than 48 hours because we are always not implemented this 48-hour decision well. So what I'm saying is that lost productivity as a result of people being kept in custody for more than 48 hours is something we can investigate. But from what I experienced, it's a lot. So when you implement the system, you are going to cut down all these losses. Yes, because the system is leaking. You keep people beyond 48 hours and you are reducing productivity. So the judiciary will benefit. It's one of the main beneficiaries of the 24-hour economy. Okay.
Lawyer Matikbebo, thank you very much. And while I round up on this, just quick. Okay, so yes, I wanted there's a quick clarification on this. What the specific is this going to cover the all sectors or specific sectors of the economy? Quick one.
Yes, in answering this, my very senior brother, Mr. Apiakubi, I get a sense that with a little more explanation, Mr. Apiakubi, Mr. Yabuaben, we will all be on the same page with regards to this policy. He made mention of the fact that the private sector cannot be controlled, and it's only the public sector that can be controlled. I understand that. Then we ask ourselves, how did Mutokin Assembling Company finally become part of one district, one factory? How did Casapreco finally become part of one district, one factory? Once you create an enabling environment through regulation, proper regulation, and incentives that attract the private sector, automatically they will fall in line. And so that's the first thing I wanted to clarify. The second had to do with the fact that he said in the passport office, you've got to go to, you can do everything online, and so there's no need for a 24-hour system around that corridor. Every online system would still bring you to a point of biometrics, where you would have to appear physically, you have to take a picture, and you have to use your fingerprints in doing this. All the people who line up at the passport office at 3 a.m. are not there because they've not uploaded their details online.
So Mike, there was a question about demand, because all you're talking about is creating a certain supply. But the sectors you are talking about, have you done the analysis to see whether there's going to be demand for it? Because there are certain sectors that operate 24 hours, but they don't have the demand created for that supply, which is business economics.
As it stands now, we import sugar to a tune of over 1.5 billion. I listen.
No. Yes.
Alfred.
Yes.
So then let's move on.
As it stands now, we import sugar to a tune of over 1.5 billion into this country, whilst Commander Sugar Factory has been abandoned. Do you think that if we are able to produce sugar at the
I was asking specific questions. So it appears that we. So I just wanted to get that clarity.
I don't know why.
So yes, we'll go for that quick break. When we're back, we'll move on to the next issue. Stay with us. This is Keep One. We'll be back shortly after this quick break.
It's time for golden season. Time to try your luck. The rules are simple. You can place bets on any sports event. Get promotional tickets. Take part in prize draws. What's the season? It's golden season. Time to try your luck. Use the promo code to get your welcome bonus.
This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Bet responsibly, not for persons below 18 years. Gambling can be
We watch the Premier League on Super Sport like we are in a stadium.
That was not an offside. offside. Rashford was in an offside position, but he wasn't interfering with play. And Bruno scored.
This Christmas, dear, entertainment galore on DSTV. The content just go over you. Dial star 759 hash to reconnect or stay connected now.
BB Entertainment presents another classic stage play titled Course 90. Feature.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your name?
Dr. So.
You?
General Tatia. General.
Bank account?
IDE Bank.
You, house number?
Boss, we are just traveling to Kumasi. Why all this information? Just give us the ticket and we can sit in the car and go. What was the meaning of this?
This car will move. People will die. Leg here, head here. When you are searching for the body, nobody to find the body. That's why we take details.
I'm sorry.
I beg, when you die, who go? Hey, sorry, your next of kin.
But small travel we are traveling. So that does it mean we are going to die?
You are not going to die. I am not. Last week, this one, last week, you know how many people died?
Live at the National Theatre of Ghana on Saturday the 25th of November at 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. Rate is a cool 100 Ghana cedis. For tickets, dial star 447 star 1096 hash to purchase across all networks. The Two Idiots are back. Course 90 is a psychological thriller.
The news never stops. If it's not breaking, developing, the news lends itself to significant analysis, broad context through explainers, and the features that give stories more life. That's what we offer on Weekend Central. News, features, analysis, the full package. Weekend Central, Saturdays and Sundays at 12 p.m. on TV3.
TV3, first in news.
This December, experience the wonders of the Harbour City Bazaar, the most anticipated SME fair from the 7th to the 10th of December 2023 at the TDC forecourt. Entrepreneurs, come showcase your business prowess at a cool 2,000 Ghana cedis. Food and drink vendors can secure a spot for only 1,000 Ghana cedis. And here's the spicy twist. Tema communities, assemble your cooking teams of 3 and compete for culinary glory. It's a feast of fun and commerce at the Harbour City Bazaar. To book a stand or to participate in the cooking contest, call 0532 200927 or 0535 929 591. Save the date from 7th to the 10th of December 2023 at TDC forecourt, where dreams meet opportunity.
3FM 92.7 in collaboration with the Ghana National Chamber of
Welcome back to Key Point. We're live on 3FM 92.7, also on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. A few of your messages here. It says that Andy Apiakobi has been level-headed. He's spoken well. The night economy, weekend economy, Sunday economy, and you say stop spending all day in church without working on Sunday. And holiday economy, multi-jobs economy, all will build into the 24-hour economy. And this one here says what Yabuabeng Samoa is saying about taxation may not apply in its whole form. Remove taxes on the private sector and see how the economy will expand. This one also here says, Alfred, what will stimulate me to invest in Ghana if I will be sharing my profit with the state? What will the state do for me if my business collapses? And thank you very much. This one here says that the market for 24-hour economy, we have so many vehicles traveling the night. Do we have organizers in the night? And do we have also the mechanics working as such? And this one here says that I've got clarity, at least from the first phase from Malik, on this developing policy. We'll see how the coming days will look like on it. Thank you very much for the messages that have come through. This week, still on issues of development, we had a legislative instrument that was proposed in Parliament. In fact, that it's before the Constitutional Legislative Committee of Parliament, I beg your pardon, the Legislative Committee of Parliament. the Subsidiary Legislative Committee of Parliament. The Honorable Andiapia Kubi is a member of, the ranking member of this committee. There was a specific point made about, yes, it's a ranking. The ranking. There's a specific concern that was raised by the minority about this LI. I want us to take a listen to Dr. Kesela Toforsin, who's the minority leader on this LI, seeking to impose a ban on the importation of some 22 items. Take a look.
I'm sad to see a draft legislation instrument that the government intends to lay. This NPP government intends to bring an ally that will restrict import and to create what we call a committee that will give permit to a prospective importer. What this simply means is that going forward, if you want to import rice, sugar, diapers, poultry, and a number of items, approximately 22 selected items, you will need to go to the Ministry of Trade and Industry and to see a committee that will be constituted by the minister before a permit will be given to you. This, I think, is a dangerous practice. It has happened before in this country. And you recall that in 1967, a commission of inquiry was established. Justice Olenu's committee was established. And that committee was to identify the corruption and malpractices relating to import licenses.
So that's Dr. Kesela Toforsin there. Now, I'm going to be giving you the list of the items as we go on. But 22 of them, as was captured in this LI. And the concern is how we have built local capacity to, as it were, make up for the shortfall in the demand that will be created if we go ahead to impose a ban on the importation of these items. Whether we have built enough local buffers or capacity to make up for this. Rice, gut, bladders, and stomach of animals, poultry, animal and vegetable oil, margarine, fruit juices, soft drink, soap, and detergents. That's what you see on the screen. And those of you listening to us on 3FM, motor cars, mineral water, noodles and pasta, ceramic tiles, corrugated paper and paper board, mosquito coil and insecticides, iron and steel, cement, fish, sugar, clothing and apparel, biscuits, and canned tomatoes. John Dramani, the intent of this policy, I think, has not been questioned in any way. If it's about safeguarding the city and then also ensuring that we don't spend money importing things that we have the capacity to produce. But then again, have we developed that capacity even before thinking about banning the importation of these items?
Alfred, exactly the first issue I wanted to raise also. And indeed, let me clear the air on certain misconceptions about the leadership of the committee. Incidentally, this is a committee that is chaired by my good friend, Dr. Ayini of NDC. And even his own people are also throwing jabs at him, much as the public may also be. The facts in this case is that the minister had proposed to bring this as a certificate of urgency, which means that we're working, trying to fight against time. And Dr. Aini, as chair, had proposed to him that we needed to consider this at the pre-laying conferencing stage before it comes to laying, and for us to... You see, there is no law that prohibits a ministry or agency to file or lay its bill. Nobody can stop any of such agencies from laying. But over time, we have developed a process of interrogating the bill and making sure that we situate it within the context of the drafting policy of the Ministry of the Attorney General's Department and Ministry of Justice. Also, it is important for members of Parliament in the subsidiary committee to understand the purpose and the lacuna or the extension of the parent law that this LI will seek to bring to board. You see, when the parent law is crafted in an act, it provides a provision that the supervising ministry or minister will have to come out with a workable program to implement the law as it's expected in the act. And that is where we get the LIs coming. So we make sure that the LI, which is a subsidiary law to support the Act of Parliament, does not conflict the parent law itself. So sometimes a provision in the LI will be so powerful that it takes away the power of the Act itself, which is not possible in law. And sometimes if we are not careful, you bring it and we pass it, and it becomes a subject of judicial determination. We want to avoid that. So we make sure that all the provisions in the LI conform to the expectations of the Parent Act. Like, you are not too powerful than your parent. That is the first consideration. Secondly, all laws in Ghana are subject to the Constitution of Ghana.
Right.
So we make sure that all the provisions of the LI you bring in cannot challenge the position of the Constitution of Ghana. So we bring it into consistency with the parent law and the supreme law, which is the Constitution. Sometimes there are certain provisions in the legislative instrument that challenges other provisions in the same legislation. You see the inconsistency in the same bill. So we work to ensure that there is consistency also in the bill itself by way of the provisions aligning with one another. Sometimes there are, there are mistakes, typo, grammatical, and all the kind. And we have something we call drafting style of the Attorney General's Department. The way our laws are drafted,
right?
We must conform to how Ghanaians understand our laws to be captured and read. So we check all that and make sure that we are consistent with our drafting style also. Again, we ensure that stakeholders in the bill, in this case, traders in these areas, there must be some engagement with the stakeholders. You must capture their opinion on the principles behind the LI. And you must engage them for them to bring opinions, challenge you where necessary, and prefer alternative.
So are you saying that engagement wasn't done before this LI was
even
brought before you?
What goes on before the LI comes to the plenary.
Okay.
So all these things are very necessary to ensure that, and again, if you look at our constitution, although Parliament has no right to affect the content of an LI if it's laid or subsidiary legislation is laid, there's a provision in the Constitution, Article 11.7, which gives Parliament also the power to throw away the LI or the subsidiary legislation. When Parliament thinks that this thing is unwholesome, we do a two-thirds majority to throw it out. Sometimes we bring the LI into the plenary and there's a lot of confusion. There's heated debate. To avoid all that, you come to a pre-laying conference and we invite everybody to bring opinions. Sometimes people bring memoranda, so that we consider all that. So it has to make the document perfect before you are allowed to lay. And sometimes even construction, a T or a end, or little things like that can change the interpretation of the various provisions. So we make sure that when or is there and it's supposed to be end, we ask the promoter of the bill, what was the purpose of this provision? Did you intend to say end and you wrote or? Can we change end to or, make sure that the intention is well captured? So some of those things. So that when it comes to the plenary, we as a committee will also provide a report indicating what we have done, the objections we raised and all that, to explain to the whole members what has gone on in bringing this bill and laying it, so that it has not too disturbing environment in passing the bill. This is what the minister had wanted to avoid, because he was seeking to pass it. We needed a 21-day timeline to get it to mature. And counting the days of our sitting in Parliament, there was this fear that we may not get the 21 days for it to mature. And therefore, we will rise without passing the bill.
Okay.
And therefore, it was necessary for us to somehow rush it. The chairman of the committee and my good self, we all disagreed. We wanted to make sure that the good thing was done, and then we went through the process as always. It is for the good of the proposers. It was for the good of those of us who are also passing it. It is for the good of the people of Ghana and the stakeholders who must understand what we have done. So there was this disagreement. And indeed, there were a lot of people who were even accusing our chairman that he is allowing the illegality to go. But there is no illegality in that for the first time. And there's also not, it's not correct that the chairman didn't want us to go through it. But I have explained, it was not the chairman's fault. So those who are attacking my chairman, I'm sure that they didn't understand the situation as it was. That is why they are attacking him. He did no wrong.
But
he did no wrong. But
you see,
like I'm saying,
but
if he had come there, if I had come there, I think we would have corrected all the possible wrongs. And indeed, even if you see my bill, I have written purpose of the regulation, which was not captured, to protect the health needs of Ghanaians. In fact, if you look at the schedule, the things that are listed, the intestines of animals, for example, how could we, if we stop that, it means we are protecting the Ghanaian society, the health needs of Ghanaians. And again, as Albert, as you said, are we ready, Ghana, now, to ban the importation of rice? There is one thing that I personally, my personal opinion, it is good if we can do that. And indeed, my rice project in Agogo, I have done an outgrower scheme with a lot of people there, provided input for them, because we want to reach a situation where we will not import rice. But the fact is, now that we speak, have we reached that situation?
No.
My singular answer to this question will be no. So I don't think that it is, we are at the right time. If we are not careful, we will make sure that people will start holding rice, and come Christmas, you see, we will be talking about astronomical prices.
As for
so
today,
I'm sure that.
As for today,
right. But I was even concerned about another aspect of the.
Let's go.
Round up for me.
Poultry. For example, poultry. I'm not sure. Thinking of Christmas, we can stop poultry for now. There are some of them. But the intention is good. The ultimate intention is good.
Indeed. I think that's
so. Let us manage our expectations well and timeously, so that we don't, in the process of trying to do public good, hurt public interest. That is why cement, for example, cement. The quality ranges in cement. All cement are not cement. Some of them have better grades than others.
Some are sand.
And you see, we have to be careful,
right,
so that we don't create artificial shortages in the market.
He's doing well today.
And again, ceramics. You see, so what minority is saying that we have to be careful. I agree with them that we have to be careful in dealing with this. But we don't have to be suspicious of anybody. We are doing what is right, what is good for society, what is good for government, and what is good for public interest.
Okay, yes, and there was an aspect of the LI which you are clapping for him. Okay. For example, thank you. Another aspect of the LI which I wanted to understand why, if you are banning this, you will now put a quota system in place that would then give the minister the sole authority to grant permits to people who want to import this, which we have seen in time past how that breeds corruption and cronyism, and that even help in all of this rent seeking. Yeah. So that part of the LI, I'm sure now it's still before you, the committee.
Yes.
So you rethink that aspect as well.
We'll look at it because we have gotten to this stage before of import permissions and things like that. Okay. We all know we grew out of that because, and again, you see, if you look at certain part of it, the committee will sit once in 3 months. So if you have a problem and you are waiting for a committee to sit in 3 months,
right?
You see, Regulation 6, the import permission committee shall meet at least once every 3 months for the conduct of business. You see, so we need to look at some of these.
Indeed.
That is why we are saying that let us take our time in looking at the law, because once you create a law, if you are not careful, you create a law with somebody in mind, the law will turn around to hurt you yourself, the creator of the law. So
that's true.
Alfred,
let me bring you on this point. Yes.
Do I have anything useful to add? I think that maybe let's move on to another topic because he said it all. Today he's spoken Ghana. I don't know. Are you still an MPP man? I don't know. You see, I read the LI and I was furious. I said, what is this? We all know that excessive importation in a country would create a balance of payment deficit. We studied it when we were in sixth form, O-level economics without tears, and then sixth form. So when Akufo-Addo said he was going to address the Goggisbeck economy, okay, I was thinking that this was something he would have started right from the word go. But this is a last-minute belated attempt to redeem that promise of addressing the challenges of the Goggisbeck economy, which I know cannot fly, because you must prepare before you begin to ban importation of some of these items. Mm-hmm. Okay, you must prepare. You must ensure that the local economies are able to manufacture locally before you ban. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the idea, you see, the minister will determine who is given a license, and then after they've given you a license, if it expires, the minister will not even need a committee. You will go to the minister, and the minister will decide whether to give you the license or not. It's an unnecessary arrangement for rent-seeking and corruption that must not be countenanced. And then again, if we are serious about this policy, then, like I said, we should begin to allow the local industries to flourish. Let us give them incentives so that, I mean, look at rice, for instance. You encourage local production of rice to the point that we are satisfied. That to the point that we are sure that it can feed all of us. And then government may be the largest buyer. And so let government ensure that all the school feeding programs that are being run are buying local rice to feed the children. And then also let us ensure ministries, departments, and agencies purchase some of these locally manufactured products. If it is vehicles, you encourage Kantaka to and go others. On to produce and produce and produce, and then insist that all MMDCs purchase, from Kantanka. And then in that case, we create an economist an economy. They enjoy economies of scale, and so then the local product becomes even cheaper than the imported one, and that would naturally force the excessive importation to be reduced. So these are some of the things to do. So you see, the governance or managing economy of a developing country like Ghana is not a matter of comedies. This lie and the attempt to smuggle it in, I saw Kyerematen, the way a man was going about things in Parliament. I said, this man, he doesn't know what's up. He doesn't know. I mean, it is not comedy. So what he was doing, in my view, was. I could say I should tone down. But no, you are hitting me. But governance of a developing economy like Ghana, it's not a matter of comedies. It's a serious business. And if you want to do this, you see, if you want to do this, you should have started from day one. You don't wait till last minute of your tenure and then you say that you want to introduce something that should have taken you the whole period of 8 years to prepare to do. And then what I'm also suspecting is that, you see, Kyerematen is looking for money, a way to get money for his ministry. It's okay. But you see, there were so many initiatives at that ministry that I'm sure got withdrawn from that ministry as a result of hatred for Alan Kyerematen. Now, sending those initiatives back to that ministry will look too obvious. And so then let this man resort to other means to get money. You are not going to get money from this shady and comic intervention.
Okay. But that's why we'll see what the work of the committee, because you see, everything rises and falls on you.
You see, that ally is outmoded at best. It will not work. It won't fly.
Thank you.
You talk about the intent.
The intent.
The intent is good.
Yes.
I mean, let us cut excessive importation.
That's right.
Okay, but before you cut excessive importation, you must have a local solution to address the kinds of things that we are importing.
Thank you.
If you don't have, we don't have enough rice, and you are saying that we should cut the importation of rice, I mean, how are people going to feed? And so let us ensure that we empower the local producers of these local products, ensure we give them incentives so that they can go on and produce to the point that we can assure ourselves that, look, we will be able to feed ourselves locally. Then we can ban without even asking Kyerematen to determine who should be given license and who shouldn't be given license. I mean, what is that? Are we kids? So we can't think through. We should give all this power to one minister to determine who will be given license. So tomorrow you are NDC man, and they said you are funding NDC or you are funding MPP, you are going for license, and then the minister will say, well, we will not give you a cutlass to be used to slash our throat. So I mean, what sort of comic arrangement is this?
Thank you.
It's as if we cannot read through.
Thank you. That's one aspect that, as we are interrogating this policy, as you indicated earlier, all of these things will have to be addressed, and then the committee will have to take note of that. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me
fighting hard the quagmires of poverty and underdevelopment.
Malik on this. Yes, Malik. Thank you. Thank you.
If you monitor discussions on this topic, like Prof said, I mean, but for the fact that, of course, at the beginning, my very senior brother, Honorable Apia, could be attempted attacking me. All other submissions he's made, I think is an order. But I mean, he apologized. And maybe he heard certain things about me, but I'm not disrespectful, so let's keep up.
Indeed, and that's what a lot of people... So that matter has been settled.
He apologized, and so as I think that we'll move on. You see, it's important that we understand again our current state of the economy. Whoever advised Kyerematen on this particular airline did him no good. One, in this country, we don't produce a matchstick worth of sugar in this country, locally. Yet you want to ban the importation of sugar. How is that feasible? In this country, you have very few rice processing, factories. Yet you want to ban the importation of rice. Nobody is against the ban on importation of commodities in the long term. But you don't just get up a day, bring an ally to parliament and say, look, we are banning rice, we are banning sugar, we are banning cement. Look, cement, even cement. The only Ghanaian-owned cement factory in Ghana is Jata Cement by Ibrahim Mahama. However, All other companies in Ghana, like Gasem and the rest, produce, but they import the raw material called clinker. The only places we mine the raw material for cement in Ghana is limestone, and that's at BP. And so if you ban the importation of these commodities, how will we even manufacture cement in this country? And so it doesn't add up. It's an archaic system that will breed inflation in this country. And if you listen to Mr. Apiakubi, he clearly stated that, look, you would have lots of people chasing fewer goods. And once we chase fewer goods, it will bring in the economic indicator of demand and supply, where inflation will definitely go up in order to meet an equilibrium. And so that particular policy, I think, is flawed. Then it brings us again to the licensing scheme. I don't know if Mr. Kyerematen has read the Justice Olenu report of 1967. Mm-hmm. Clearly, it indicated and told us to move away from an import licensing scheme. And never again. Should we? We've been there before. So you want to take us again to that particular 1967 licensing scheme where Prof clearly indicated that, so if you are NDC, you are MPP, you need a license. You go to him, Minister, I want to import rice. Grant me permits. How much will you pay? How much will you pay? It's somebody who intends enriching his pocket, and so, we should move away from those things. And you see, in all of this, I think that is why it's important we all support the 24-hour policy by the nation builder John Dramani Mahama in order to achieve a long-term cuts on importation. We must help together on this platform strengthen the 24-hour economy of President Mahama. Imagine Commander Sugar Factory running a 24-hour system. It means that importation on sugar will automatically be cut. Let me take you to Nigeria. Before Nigeria totally cut off the importation of rice, in 2016, there was a cut-off of rice that were imported by road. In 2021, Nigeria finally increased their rice processing factories from about 10 to over 80 in Nigeria. They saw the need to cut down on importation of rice by sea. And today, in Nigeria, there's a total ban on importation of rice because the factories there can produce to feed the citizenry in Nigeria. But you just get up one day, drink coffee, get up from your ministry, prepare an airline, come and tell us to pass. Hold on, let's somebody wants to get up and make chop from it.
You don't have the permission to speak.
So, Alfred, I think that it's important we dissect this particular airline. Let's throw it away. I'm happy Prof took Mr. Apiakubi's document and attempted throwing it away. We should even go through it. It is dead on arrival. It cannot hold the test of time. We must focus on building on productivity in this country. And so the 24-hour policy, once again, is the game changer. And that was the point I sought to make on this platform. By cautioning Mr. Baumia to move away from intellectual debates on this particular subject matter. He is not wanted. He is a man whose economic parameters have expired long and have been dead on arrival. He has no economic policy again to contribute to the fortunes of this country. So wherever he hears 24-hour policy, he should shift and go somewhere. He can go and do the comedies with Kyerematen and then leave us to deliberate on very key, significant policies of this sort. And so I think that once it has been suspended, never again should be brought to Parliament. The understanding I get is that let's focus on building our local economy. Let's focus on helping the Ghanaian citizenry get into all these sectors. And I was impressed when Prof brought a point about renegotiating some of the deals we've been engaging in. Not only in the oil sector, not only in the gold sector, but even in the agricultural sector. As it stands today, there are people who are cheating us in the cashew plantation industry. And that is why President Mahama says he will set up a cashew board to regulate the percentages, to regulate the pricing of cashew in this country. I think that the only resolution to our economic woes in this country, I think, is President Mahama. And I think he's the only one who will be able to take us out of this quagmire. The government of the day has run out of ideas. The government of the day has been stampeded because they believed in a promise talker. They believed in a man who had 0% understanding of the economic fortunes of this country, and they believed in a cheap promise talker because talk is not taxed in this country. But never again will we go back to that promise, talk and promise regime. And so I think that once we advise the flag bearer of the MPP on that, we are on same page to debate a very crucial and a very intellectual matter of this.
What I wanted to find out is, has this LI been suspended? Because it's not been laid in the first place. So there can't be a suspension.
No,
so what's happening?
They've asked them to take it back.
There is expectation that it will come to the committee for pre-laying conferencing. At that point, we will look at provisions one after the other and see where we need to make any amendments. We will so do. If at all there is, if at all
you can ban the Yemadia, but
if at all this
please,
this bill will
also
come,
someone's
this LI will come. It will come in its modified form to meet the expectations of the public.
Right.
So it is for now. It is considered as a proposal, and a proposal, not a bill laid in Parliament.
Okay.
So let's contribute ideas.
Indeed. So it is the same approach you took to the 24-hour economy. You want this. Some level of interrogation.
And in all cases,
to
everybody
fine-tune this.
is invited.
Okay.
Every interested person is invited to contribute memoranda or even make appearance.
Right.
Sometimes we admit people to make appearance and to also
but
inform.
you know everything that works.
So
you know everything that works against this.
So this is
thank you.
You know everything.
This is a subtle.
Just go and throw
invitation to Pastor Jampo.
This is a subtle invitation to
thank you.
Jampo.
On this, so
this is Alfred. This is a subtle invitation to Professor Jampo and his like to come to the committee and also prefer.
Well, you are there today. You have spoken.
Let me bring in Yababian Samoa. You see, because Yababian Samoa, if you look at the how even this LI is captured about the process for import permission granting, it says registered importers must apply to the Ministry of Trade for an import permit. Import permit committee will vet the application and make recommendations to the minister. The minister may grant or refuse the import permit and inform the applicant accordingly. Every import permit granted must specify the terms and conditions. The minister shall then publish the list of all importers granted these permits annually and so on. The point that we've been there before, and the fact that it finds itself in this LI, which has to be rethought through so that it will reflect our current realities. What should be the way forward? Quickly.
Ranking member has already stated. I was in his shoes before as ranking member for that committee.
I see.
It's obvious he's telling us that this is being thrown out. It's not being presented as it is.
It has not been.
It's not being presented. It will not be. So it will not be. So that's what he's found language to tell us, that we are not in danger from this for now. And sometimes what happens is that once it goes, it takes a very long time to come back. And indeed, it means the aspect of urgency, which would have resulted in dangerous inclusions, is dismissed. So whichever one comes next will definitely have input from the public, including what has gone on before, what has happened before, what works best, what is likely to work. Because frankly, 80% of that list is food.
Indeed.
Basic food items that before the colonial master came to Ghana, we were eating. And now we've lost the capacity to produce and we are importing. Basic food items, 80%. So the tension between taste, acquired taste, developed taste, and forex, scarce forex, is real. Because the intention, the good intention, as the ranking member said, is to conserve forex. And push forex into, they think, more relevant things. But what could be more relevant than basic food? You see, it looks so simple, but it's basic because it's food. So that tension must be resolved with the capacity to deliver them locally. It's a long-term process. It's a very long-term process. It's a long-term process, and I think perhaps there are enough provisions in the mother law that the LI is being generated from. To take care of that long-term process. You may not need an LI to govern production, capacity development, and delivery of these basic food items.
Right.
I really sense, considering that the ranking member and the chairman are in agreement that this will not pass,
I sense it may not even come back.
What do you say to what was done to
No, he's
Alan,
putting words in my
in
mouth.
that
No, we are not talking a lie. We are talking a lie.
You round up on that point.
We are talking a lie. We are talking a lie.
Resist the invitation
to make money for
resist the invitation.
How much
Focus on
resist this invitation.
Okay. For example, being lying. Yes.
So I am.
When it gets to me,
I'll take your time.
You can't control
for example. Thank you. Yes.
I am concluding by saying that yes, governance of the trade ministry could be strengthened, better strengthened in terms of our international trade actions and also the items we need to zero in on. Perhaps there are over thousands of traded items that the ministry has an interest in.
Sure.
And isolating 21 items this way, basic key items this way, and infusing a structure into the availability that could lead to rent seeking could be a big problem. Big problem. Water.
Downloaded them from
big problem.
Google.
So we need time. It should be a two-step process. It should be a two-step process. Bringing local capacity to deliver, because the taste has been acquired.
Absolutely.
It's not easy to get rid of the taste. Sure. And even with water, you realize that now water is becoming, gradually water is becoming a critical item of availability and consumption, because most of our rivers are dead from Galamsey.
Yeah.
So we tend to view water as, as a common commodity, water. But in truth, when I was much younger, we used to take empty bottles and take water straight from the tap, put it in the fridge and drink it off the cup, or take a cup to the tap and drink water. Absolutely. Now, everybody drinks some form of processed water. It's a big industry. Yeah. Everybody drinks some sort of processed water. So I used to be of the opinion that water shouldn't be an import item. But after careful thought, I realized that it has become a critical, essential commodity. Because it's not available in the form it used to be anymore. And it's essential to life.
We have Galamsey that...
Galamsey has virtually...
Except in Asante Achimnof.
Everything. Except in Asante Achimnof.
Yes. Come there, you can drink our water. There's no
so you must
zero tolerance.
The local solutions in Asante Achimnof to the national...
Come and consult me.
The government should consult you, not me. The government should consult you. So Mr. Ocansey, I am confident,
right,
from listening to the ranking member, that this thing will disappear and not come back.
Thank you very much. Yaba Benson, interestingly, is the former ranking member on this Legislative Committee of Parliament, considering this subsidiary Legislative Committee of Parliament, considering this LI. I've just got information that there's a fire outbreak at the Arts Center, but the fire service is attending to that as we speak. So that is the information just coming through. Martin People, on this LI, at least per the, just as Yababian someone said, clearly from the comments of the ranking member and the reference to what the chair himself is saying, it appears that there's going to be a lot of thinking into modifying and changing some aspect of this LI to reflect our current realities. What should be the way forward, quickly?
Yes, so Mr. Ocansey, that's the verdict. Across the table, I agree with the various submissions, because quite clearly they say once bitten, twice shy. Once bitten, twice shy. Look, even apart from the Olenu Commission report, which is available, you see various writers have written about it on the net. So if you Google, you can access it. You also look at even the recent past, 2018, how this government, finance minister, could vindictively revoke the licenses of people who are linked to the opposition, notably Dufour and the other banks. So they use BOG, but if you look at it, what you see is that it was just a matter of what? Cutting oxygen from political opponents, because we all agree across the table that the experts say with about 5 billion we could have solved the banking crisis, fined them here and there, made them pay money over time, and then would have kept the jobs. But what did BOG and the rest do? Securities and Exchange Commission. They just went around revoking banking licenses. In the end, they came with, what, some say about 50,000 loss of jobs. And we are still even counting the cost of the whole exercise. Now it's about 25 billion, right? At the last count. So we don't need to go back to the 60s, the Olenu Commission report. Even within our own living memory, just a few years ago, we saw the vindictiveness. We saw that vindictiveness took away people's banking licenses. Meanwhile, just last year, when they mismanaged this economy and India companies couldn't run, Data Bank and co., they didn't revoke Data Bank's license. So you see, so quite clearly, there is recent evidence to suggest that anything that has to do with a license, when you put it in the hands of a politician, you are likely to get that politician using it against his opponent. Don't put a license in the hands of a politician. You put a license that regulates economic activities in the hands of a politician, and you are just straight on your way to giving the politician a free pass to destroy political opponents. So that is the key thing we have to look at. How do we work on this? That, yes, we all agree. And you see, Professor Jampo reminded us that Akufo-Addo came on the back of transforming our economy from a Gettysburg economy toward an import substitution economy. So we're going to set up a lot of import substitution industries to deal with the rice problem, oil, vegetables, the poultry, etc. But what do we have today? The exact opposite of what President Akufo-Addo promised, right? Yes, so the idea behind it is laudable. Anything that will increase local production, we are all for it because we all benefit. If we begin to own the economy, we will be better for it as Ghanaians because the statistics show that the economy doesn't belong to us. Last week, we heard Professor Bobkin, how the analysis showed a lot of the big banks are foreign owned. So the money at the end of the day goes to the foreigners. You look at big multinationals, a lot of their shares are foreign owned, MTN, etc. So we don't own our economy. And so any policy that will seek to give us a control of the commanding heights of our economy is generally good. But if we don't solve that problem, that we are going to give the power of licenses to politicians and their affiliates, sorry, that program is dead on arrival. Seriously dead on arrival because it's going to be used for political vengeance, political vindictiveness. And these have cost the Ghanaian too much. These have cost the Ghanaians too much. I have friends who are in the banking industry. Today, they are driving Uber. Bankers driving Uber. Is that how we use our resources, our human resources? Please, no disrespect to the driving of Uber. We all drove cars when we were in school as part of part-time jobs, etc., to be able to pay school fees. Yes. So I'm not disrespecting people driving Uber. The point is that people who qualified, went to school and qualified as bankers, were big banking executives. Today, they are driving Uber because of political vindictiveness. Political vindictiveness that resulted in licenses of opposition parties being revoked, banking licenses. Meanwhile, today, Data Bank suffered the same, did the same wrong things, but didn't get its license revoked. And we want to repeat such an experience again in the import industry. No way. No way. Let's learn from our experience.
Right.
Let's learn from our experience. Because if we don't, the effect will be worse this time round.
Okay. Lawyer Martin Pebo, thank you very much. And that leads us to our next and final topic. And because I advertised 3 topics earlier today, the New Patriotic Party earlier in the week communicated the decision to apply the constitutional provision of the party to some 4 individuals, one of whom is with us in the studio today. These were the reasons they gave: publicly endorsing the candidature of a person other than the duly elected presidential candidate of the party, His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. 2, a member of the party who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected member of the party, or who joins or declares his or her support for another political party. So the first part of it applies to these 4. That a member of the candidate who stands as an independent candidate against the officially elected, and then that's Alan Kyerematen. And the last part, the persons who have declared support for this person or for an independent candidate, when the party has sponsored a candidate in a general or by-election, automatically forfeits his or her membership of the party, automatically forfeits his or her membership of the party, or as it's indicated there. So it was quite clear in black and white what the MPP's constitution states. We're talking about Alhaji Boniface Abubakar Sadiq, who was a minister of state, the vice president, after the vice president, former minister of the inner cities and Zongo development, minister for youth, labor and employment between 2005 and July 2007, and then was a member of parliament for 2 constituencies, one up north and then one down south. One of the few to do that. The recent Medina constituency member of parliament. Nano Heninto, former general secretary of the NPP, also held a number of portfolios in the Kufuor administration. Also Hobson Adoye. Well, let me just say, Nano Heninto is a journalist by profession, and one-time GJA Journalist of the Year. I think that was in 1986. That's Nano Heninto. Then Hobson Adoye, parliamentary aspirant of the MPP in the Gonkatamanso constituency. Then, yes,
he was a security
indeed.
coordinator at the airport.
And a number of, he's also a security coordinator
at the airport, aviation.
at the
In charge
airport,
of aviation,
in charge of aviation. The man you see on the screen is the one with us in the studio. A member of the 7th Parliament, representing the people of Adenta constituency.
And one-time national communications director.
I didn't know you had become
one-time director of communications, national director of communications of the MPP. And also a former ranking on this committee considering this LI that we are even talking about today. So it appears quite clearly that this decision that the party had taken was going to happen, is it not? Based on your actions in openly declaring support for Alan Kyerematen.
Clearly. My moderator, Mr. Ocansey, and I hope later on you become an honorable because you're very detailed. The way you go into your stuff, that's why I add Mr. to your name. It elevates you professionally. You have a Mr. Professor, an honorable, and then Malik, who says he won't disclose his credentials this morning. Yes, but it is true.
Who they say is too young to be in politics.
We have moved on.
Who they say is too young to be in politics.
We have moved on. Thank you.
But I apologize.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Be careful. Yes. I tend to be mischievous. Be careful. Let me go ahead.
Indeed.
It's been a very cordial morning.
You were here.
Me, a very cordial morning.
Let's move on,
please. Yes, it's true. We had left the party by our own voluntary actions, but the publication that we had voluntarily left in the manner in which it was published means that we have to look at a few reality checks for all of the population, particularly Alan's supporters within the MPP over the years. And these are people, one, who believe or don't even believe it's happening. Sometimes when you are part of history and it's unfolding, you find it hard to accept the reality. But it is true, Alan has left the MPP in order to present himself to the people of Ghana as an independent presidential candidate. And we believe, those of us who are following him believe that this is the time for that to happen, and he is going to win and become the president. However, if you love Alan, you've supported Alan over the years, you are still within the MPP, because that main support-based MPP, then you will definitely be in a very difficult time. And Alan appreciates that, and we all appreciate that. If you are within Ghana as a voter, it presents you a new opportunity for you to assess. And I'm waiting for Martin to say that Alan is not that alternative, so that I can hammer him, because I'm inviting Martin to join the movement for change.
You are inviting
Alan
Martin
is the alternative
to join the movement of change.
Yes, I want him to. No, he can keep his identity as what is the title of the group he leads?
Kumipreku Reloaded.
Kumipreku Reloaded. I was a member of the original Kumipreku, so I will be inviting Kumipreku Reloaded to join movement for change. Okay. But like I said, that's the first reality check. It's difficult for many to accept that history is unfolding, to believe that Alan has indeed left, and to acknowledge and accept that what he is doing is likely to result in a fundamental change to the leadership style and structure of politics in Ghana. The second group who also need a reality check are those who are actively seeking to stop the movement and destroy it, to stop Alan going where he's supposed to go and to destroy that movement. I call them the army of the unwilling. They are being pushed to do things they don't have to do. The distraction brigade. They are being encouraged, and so what they are doing is using propaganda, lies, and psychological warfare. Oh, he will return. These are the whispers they go around. Oh, he will return.
So he's not going to return?
No, he's been giving money. He don't believe them. Like I told you, the first reality check is that he has left to launch a bid to be president of the Republic of Ghana.
In the first instance, when
it's
he
a
left,
very viable bid.
Okay.
So let's focus on that for the moment. He will not launch that bid from within the MPP. He's launching it as an independent, on an independent platform, and so he's not returning to the MPP.
I see. So Adi Akubi's expectation will not happen.
Well, Adi is a very good friend. Beyond, sometimes you don't want to say everything. You know, Andy is one of the convenience of the Dagwa Muzia Club on Lagos campus, and we're co-conspirators in the Coordinating Council for Tertiary Institutions. Yes. We're all founding members of that, which led the political process. Well, Tescon came later. Tescon came later.
Will you heed to his advice or not? That was the question.
So I'm saying that there's propaganda on the ground that he will return. He will not.
He will not
There's
return.
propaganda on the ground that he's been paid money to return. He will not.
Let me rephrase.
There's propaganda. There's propaganda on the ground that independents don't win anyway. So what he's doing is just designed to stop the MPP from winning because he's bitter. That is designed to emotionally and psychologically attack an MPP person, to think that following Alan is not viable because it will be a waste of your vote, since he will not win anyway.
And that notice that he left the party because he clearly saw that he was not going to make any significant impact in the flag bearer race.
That is all propaganda that is going on.
That's why he left.
Those are all the negatives they are saying about the movement. So I'm giving us some reality checks. I'm now listing the propaganda stories that are on the ground, flowing on the ground. You see? So I have 4 reality checks that I want to share. Okay. Reality check 1 is that he is gone into the movement for change. He founded the movement for change to back his bid to be president of Ghana, and he is committed to showing himself to the voters of Ghana as an independent presidential candidate. There is no negotiation about that. So he has gone. So I want people to accept and believe that he has gone. That's the first reality check.
Okay.
He has gone from the MPP. He is in the center of the Ghanaian political stage as an independent. The second reality check is that there are active efforts emanating from his past political party to stop that going or to discredit it. And I'm listing some of the propaganda they are using to try and discredit it. They are saying that he will come back. He's been paid to do that. He's bitter, so he stepped out, so the NDP will lose, and independence hardly win, and so don't be. And even the attempt to publish the letter to put fear the publication of the letter, because it wasn't necessary. We had forfeited our membership by virtue of our actions since September 25th, when he announced that he was establishing the movement.
At that point,
all the people named were there.
And so your actions at that point
Exactly.
automatically...
The constitutional provisions are about actions. The constitutional provision you read is about actions. If you do X, Y, Z in respect of a candidate who is opposed to the candidate the party has selected, you have forfeited your membership. That's what the provision says.
So the party said they needed to let the public know that officially this is what has happened.
Because they are panicking
so
that
that
public is following the butterfly. So if they do this, then they put fear, particularly in the public they control, the MPP officer class. About 200,000 of them, the MPP group, who are police station executives, constituency executives, regional, national executives. Then they become afraid that, hey, if you follow Alan, you'll be sacked. Because if powerful people are being sacked, what about me? Then what it implies that optically, when he's in public, they dare not come near him. So you try and create the impression that he has fewer followers. It has a knock-on effect. But somebody else who is sitting by his side, planning to vote, will think that, oh, even if the man hasn't got any followers, how do I go and vote for him? He won't win anyway. It's all designed to limit his ability to attract support for his vote, which he will get anyway. The third reality check is that it is important that we fill it out. And now I'm talking to Martin. I'm talking to, I shouldn't just say Martin, since I'm appealing to him. Lawyer Martin Pebu, Esquire.
Just like you.
Martin Pebu Esquire. I'm talking to him and groups like him. Look, we all admit there's a major leadership deficit as far as the choices of leader that the dominant parties are bringing to us is concerned. And that broad space, which we are all calling the search for the third force, is there. But in that space, there are so many disparate groups, all with a desire for effective governance, but in such a way that it is very difficult for them to coalesce and have the numbers to be able to impact governance through changing the electoral fortunes of that force. Okay, so that group, if they come to behind a powerful dominant personality like Alan Kyerematen, then what happens? You have a symbiotic relationship. The groups get a viable, competent leader, and that leader gets the support he needs to win the election, so that together we can have effective governance in this country. That those groups are after effective governance. Mr. Kyerematen is also after effective governance. So I am inviting those groups to coalesce around Mr. Kyerematen's movement for change, for the benefit of the groups themselves and for the benefit of the country, because the benefit to the groups is that they will have a fair shot at securing power in the country. It's all about the use of executive authority, prioritizing the use of executive authority. What would you choose to do with executive authority? Alan has laid out clearly what he will do with it. He's bringing back decency and trust in politics, and he intends to apply that executive authority to deal with the core problems we have, which are essentially about transforming our economy, to expand it, to create jobs, and to expand already existing opportunities. So we need finally to persuade the middle classes who are desperate, who are thirsty for quality leadership, to step up.
Right.
You have academics, you have the professionals, including Martin and his ilk, you have the teachers, you have the nurses, you have the student leaderships, you have the religious body leaderships, you have the traditional authority leaderships. You have a group who are in this country, apparently not the largest group. This is the burgeoning middle class. But who are the most influential, because the rest depend on them. Ask Martin how many funerals he has financed this weekend, if he will tell you the truth. Ask him how many funerals, because anything that happens in his village, because he is the bright luminary of the village in Accra, they will come to him for solution. So they depend on his thinking for the future. So the future is Alan Kyerematen. This country, the future is to break the duopoly that is there. In this country, the future is to bring us together around a workable national plan to advance us. The future is to change the attitudes of Ghanaians. The future is to enable a governance structure which is more or less a coalition of same thinking minds who are intent on effective governance. And that can come only if the groups who are having problems with the existing duopoly, including those within those duopolies who want to move on.
Right.
And then the disparate groups in the middle, in the center, come together behind a powerful personality like Mr. Kyerematen.
I see, but you see, in the end, as you're making all of this invitation and presenting Alan Kyerematen as the viable candidate, you've been quoted as saying that there is no way as looking back for you. You're moving forward with the butterfly movement, and that the current MPP doesn't reflect the ideals of the party. At the moment, it's President Kufuor's way or nobody's way. Is that what is happening?
Mr. Ocansey has been reading me this week, listening to me this week. I think where the MPP is now and is headed is a fundamental departure from where the MPP was and started from. I think there's been a clear erosion of the principles around which we banded together in terms of a liberal philosophical ideal of especially the freedoms of speech and thought, and which would go to enrich any such organization. I think gradually over the years, with the hold of His Excellency the President over the party for the past 16 years, 16 years is a long time, there's been more or less a mutation, gradual as it were, towards gravitating to his wishes. And I think as the party stands, in my very strong opinion, it's not fit for purpose in terms of providing a choice that Ghanaians will accept.
The MPP in this current form is not fit for purpose.
It's for the purpose of electing objectively a flag bearer that will stand a chance with the electorate in Ghana. The process was not objective, and that process, because it was not objective, hasn't thrown up a candidate that is likely to be able to achieve the purposes that that political party as a group, including Alan at the time and myself, would have believed was useful to go forward. If the purpose doesn't serve the needs of the party, then the best way is to protect the party and the ideals, not necessarily the name. You understand me?
Yes.
Because not necessarily the name, but the ideals of the democracy that we seek. Choice is a fundamental requirement of any multi-party democratic system. Choice. And where we are now, we've moved to the level of quality choice. People want to know what will happen to them in between elections.
Right.
There used to be a time where people just wanted to have an election and in 4 years go back and have another one. Now, the day after the election, in real time, your policies are being questioned. People want to know exactly what they voted for, where you are taking them and all that. The level of leadership acumen, the level of vision, the level of integrity, the level of competence required, the level of capacity to implement, organize and implement required has shot up astronomically. And we believe that the process by which the electoral colleges are delivering leadership is not responding to those new situations. And that is why it's important to preserve the tradition of the MPP by helping Mr. Kyerematen execute that tradition's real ideals at national level. And Mr. Kyerematen will succeed.
I'll find out from Lawyer Martin Pebo if he's going to respond to that invitation to join the movement right after this quick break. Stay with us. This is Key Point. We'll be back shortly.
Feel adrift as you transition into a new stage of your life. The future seems like a blank space until you discover the passion within. The canvas of the future is yours to paint. Welcome to a world of opportunities. Heritage Christian College, offering world-class university education, training compassionate entrepreneurial leaders.
Rasta. Rasta. What does Rasta really mean to the people? In today's episode of Rasta Vibration, this is what we're looking at. Rasta. What does it mean to you?
To me, Rasta means real.
Rasta to me means artistic.
Rasta to me means study.
Rasta to me means trailblazing.
That's what people like you and I do every day.
What? But where you there?
I do. Listen, Rasta, I have a bone to pick with you. Some of the things that you say on air, though, are morally, ethically, and politically.
Kids are watching.
Sit down, my youth. Respect. Rasta means the motherland, Africa. Real artistic, sporty, trailblazing African choco malt drink.
This advert is FDA approved.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, just like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer with a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my waist to a knockout like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up, what makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to all the extensive highlights, analysis, and insights. So do join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the best sports buffet and most satisfying in the sports world. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in the sports world here on Sports Ultras.
Welcome back to Key Point. Kyerematen, Bebo, quick question to you. Would you accept this invitation to join the the movement for change? Sorry.
Or no?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Answer.
Yes or no?
Yes or no? Answer.
I won't join Butterfly, but I think we can work with Butterfly to get the third force. So Mr. Alan Kyerematen is welcome to rather join the coalition of CSOs, TUC, the Christian groups. Yes.
No.
Yes, I can join Butterfly, but he can come aboard. Because Mr. Ocansey, the thing is that Mr. Kyerematen was one of the persons who campaigned for Akufo-Addo. He vouched for Akufo-Addo. And our elders say the one who brought sugarcane to the house brought what? Flies. So Mr. Kyerematen brought Akufo-Addo. So since he brought flies, he cannot now run away from Akufo-Addo. Mr. Kyerematen can't run away from Akufo-Addo. So because of that, we can't put Mr. Kyerematen forward as the credible third force. No. But he can work behind the scenes. He can play a supporting role. But he shouldn't be in front. Because you see, if you look at voter psychology, I'm talking about voter psychology. We are tired of anything Akufo-Addo. Anything Akufo-Addo is bad. Anything Akufo-Addo is a big disaster. So you can't put forward Mr. Kyerematen as a credible third force, as the leader. But as a supporter, it works because then we know that Akufo-Addo is not coming back. Because look, if you put Kyerematen there are fears that, hey, Akufo-Addo will come back through the back door. Because look, they've coexisted all these years. I kept asking, even when the economy was bad, the beginning of 2022, when the hardship started, Mr. Kyerematen couldn't divorce himself from Akufo-Addo. Mr. Kyerematen couldn't take a divorce. He still loved Akufo-Addo. Though some people are saying he stayed because he needed some of the projects to work so that he can get campaign funds. Right? Okay. Yes, you know, when you look at the political economy, yeah, they will tell you that.
So that's what Yababe has responded to. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the thing. You look at this book, they tell you, they talk about voter psychology, etc. The rise and fall of the neoliberal order.
Right.
And parts of it, pages, they discuss how voters are getting savvy and voters get tired of dynasties. So Akufo-Addo has loomed large for the past 16 years. So anything Akufo-Addo won't sell.
Okay.
Anything Akufo-Addo won't sell in 2024.
Right.
So Mr. Kyerematen is welcome to join the new third force. Dr. Yauban of TUC, the Catholic Bishops Conference, Matthew Jeffy, Bishop, President of the Bishops Conference, Duncan Williams, Mensa Otabil and Co. They should all get up with their congregations. They should come. Chief Imam, Sheikh News, Sharbutu, Franklin Kudjo and Co.
Thank you.
The CSO should come together. We need that third force because, listen, 32 million people, we can't leave this election to John Mahama. We can't leave this election to John Mahama. He did his bit. Of course, he's far better than Bawumia, but we have more options. Yes, though I acknowledge John Mahama is 1,000 times better than Bawumia, but we don't want Mahama. We want a new force. Look, in politics, this is called draining the swamp. Draining the swamp. When we say draining the swamp, what it means is that we're taking out all the established forces and put a new order that don't suffer those special interests. You see the big contractors, they pay money to these politicians, they sponsor them, and so when they come, when the politicians come, sole sourcing. The thing is for nothing. It's because people have bought those contracts well ahead. But
thank you. Yes, we have 6 minutes to round up. So I have to share the time to everyone. John Wapiakubi, and just a couple of minutes on this, and then.
Thank you, Albert. I thought this was a family matter, so all these comments were very unnecessary and very unwelcome, because it was a matter between members of one family. If our kin, KIN, is gravitating outside the family, all we need to do is to bring him back into the fold. And this one, I'm very, very personal. I challenge all the elders of our party to do the utmost to ensure there is unity in this party. And first and foremost, to make it possible for Honorable Alan Kyerematen to rethink his steps and come back. And
flag bearer.
Look, listen to me. I challenge the elders, and indeed, President Kufuor, he is the most senior person in the party, to be a failure on your part if you are not able to make sure that there is still unity. Yes, sir. Abusia penia ubewu ebeka se nkotiasia anka abusia na yeye no na wa mobrapa e kire se wa sisi the key. So all those people in leadership now, make sure that you leave a legacy for us that you will be proud of, even in your retirement. If you don't do that and you leave a disgruntled group, you leave a scattered group, then that is a challenge on your leadership. Leadership is when it is felt when you are not there. So I put this challenge to all of us.
Right.
Let us endeavor to ensure that we have a legacy that is worth taking care of and that is worth being proud of. Okay. So, Honorable Alan Kyerematen, you have a right, but it's not always the case that all your personal rights are collectively good for all the collective right. So, at a point in time, think of the people who followed you to this position and not leave them to the dogs to devour. Bring your whole weight back to support them. They may also germinate out of you in future, but the way you leave them in limbo, you are destroying their future also. It's important. Let us all take note.
Professor Jean-Paul, please.
Oh, well, I think this was purely an internal matter.
Yes. So give me your time.
They went by what their constitution said. I was thinking they would have just remained silent, on the matter, because it is not always the case that we would have to follow rigid rules. Following rigid rules without thinking about consequences sometimes ushers all of us into a regime of robots. And so you've targeted these senior four-party people and said they forfeited their membership. But how about the rest of the supporters? How about that? And don't you need, if they will not give you their vote for the presidential elections, don't you need their vote for parliamentary elections? How about if they are they are people who contribute dues in funding the political party? Don't you need their dues again? I think that they should have just kept this to themselves and allowed things to flow. But MPP has a penchant of sacking members, and it's becoming one too many. They should remember what happened in Fomena, that they eventually had to go and beg. Just telling people you're forfeited.
Begging is also part of politics.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Malik, please, let's round up on this. Thank you.
I appreciate the fact that Mr. P. Akubi is pleading on them to get on board again. But you see, whilst we plead on them, we must work on solving the fundamental cause. And so if you listen to Yababe, he made emphasis to the fact that you are calling Alan to come back. As what?
Malik,
because the man wanted to be flag bearer. So if you want him to be back, you should make him flag bearer of the new patriotic party. You see, it's important that we discuss this matter because as a result of this entire confusion, we are hearing a lot. Yababe has said the MPP is an empty barrel. He said it. Yes, he said it on Asempa. He said it on Asempa.
Did you say that?
Yababe has said that the party is some principle moving away from its principles as a party. I mean, he said a lot of things. Alan himself, who is the leader of Afranto, has labeled his party as virtually being hopeless. He says he can bring hope to the people of this country. A man who sat on same cabinet with Dr. Bawumia is telling us that they are an entire hopeless entity. It should tell you and I who we should look forward to voting for in 24. And so I think that I'll commend Yababe for can I make my point?
Yes.
Let me land on this. I think that I'll commend Yababe. He's been principled. I like very principled people like this. I'm hot. I'm cold. I'm cold. I decide to follow him, I follow him. But you see, we must, if we decide to be unprincipled, then I remember my very good, I'll land on this, my very good senior brother, Mr. P. Akubi. One point, he was for against the finance minister. These days, we are not seeing unprincipled people to grow old. So maybe we must interrogate more and know.
Thank you. Malik Basintale. Communications led by Alan Kyerematen and also a former member of parliament for the Adenta constituency. Also, Professor Ranford Jampo is a professor of political science and